Well, welcome to another vegan cheat day. Today I want to talk about a Crisco recipe book. Yes, a Crisco recipe book. You may recognize this jar. Crisco is what we called shortening when I was growing up. It's basically some kind of an industrial grease that worked its way into big food. And like most big food companies, the Crisco company came through and produced a little cookbook for their stuff. I call it stuff because I hate to call it food. This particular one is a 1989 edition, and if you see at the very bottom there, it's 1989. Company's been around for a long time. Let's see. The way this one is organized is by regions of the U.S. actually, trying to equate Crisco cooking with U.S. cooking, shamefully, right? So you've got recipes from the north, the northeast, the west, the midwest, and the south, right? Let's find a representative of each here. Okay, here's our north, and what looks like possibly a pecan pie. It's got a few pecans on the very top. Maybe those are walnuts. I don't know. Let's see here. I suppose it doesn't matter. I suppose you can make any kind of pie crust with Crisco, right? So I didn't even need a recipe book. But by the north, they are talking about specific states here. You know, Minnesota, Michigan, North Dakota. And apparently rhubarb pie is a big thing in North Dakota. I've had rhubarb pie in Iowa before. And it was actually pretty tasty, pretty sweet. But I remember the auntie that made it for us said you got to be real careful when you prepare rhubarb because one part of the plant is poisonous. Well, as we learned later on, pretty much all parts of plants are poisonous. Here, Alaska has their own rhubarb pie concoction, a little different, I guess. Washington, state of Washington, of course, apple pies. But I always think of Washington as West Coast. Did I miss the title page? I must have. So they say north, but they're including Washington and Alaska in the north. So they're kind of dividing regions in an interesting way here. Because, yeah, technically they are pretty far up north. But we always think of Washington as the northwest. Idaho, potatoes, of course. Potato. Wisconsin, I guess. Are they famous for cherries? Cherry pie. Montana, huckleberry, another rhubarb pie from South Dakota. We got a few rhubarb pies competing here. Okay, so then we go to the northeast. So there's no northwest region. We've determined that. There's only the north, which includes the northwest. The northeast would include New Jersey, Connecticut, Maryland, Delaware, Rhode Island. There's a few other. That's an interesting looking pie there. It's neither Delaware's or Rhode Island's, but those look like actual pecans there, not walnuts. Blueberries from Maine. Maple walnut from Vermont. So they're getting some of the stereotypes right, I guess. We think of, the maple trees in Vermont, for instance, and the apples in the state of Washington. Massachusetts, cranberry apple pie. Hampshire, apple pie. New York, French apple pie. So a few apple pies here up in the northeast region. Kind of get over to the west, my neck of the woods here. Looks like a lemon meringue pie right there. I don't think that was particularly western, but they say it is. They say California's pie is a lemon meringue pie. I dispute that. Arizona, something called the Naranja Mia chiffon pie. Cherry cheesecake from Nevada. Peach pie from Utah. Peach pie from Colorado. Got a few things in here. Get on to the Midwest where we got a serious looking pecan pie there. Look at all the pecans in that one. Okay, so we get into that here. We got Oklahoma, Nebraska, Ohio. And what we see here is probably Oklahoma's Honey Crunch pecan pie. So a lot of nuts there. What else is there? And they get to the south. Sweet potato pecan pie from South Carolina. Pecan pie from Louisiana. Now we're talking. I always thought pecan pie was a southern thing. Maybe I'm wrong. Key lime pie from Florida. Makes sense. Peach pie from Georgia. Absolutely makes sense. From Arkansas. Also a pecan pie. Kentucky. Hack's Pride of Kentucky pie. No idea what that is. But I always thought that Kentucky would have the Derby pie, which is like a pecan pie with chocolate chips in it. Actually, one of my favorites, by the way, is the Derby pie, if not the favorite. Some whipped cream on it. So you get through all the states, and then you got some tips for pie making from the Crisco kitchen. You know, like what to do if your crust is too crumbly or your crust is too tough and things like that. So, you know, they figured this out in their labs. They have big food labs at Crisco, obviously. And then a few tips for how to make your pie look pretty, you know, doing the lattices and other things, fluting the edges, things like that. So there you have it. Oh, there's a little interesting tidbit. I had no idea this existed, a butter-flavored Crisco. Can you imagine that? Yikes. But here we've just looked at the Crisco American Pie celebration. Have a happy vegan cheat day.